when we're talking about before about how like on that process of creativity and expression, sometimes your identity will lag behind the progress that you're making. So you like you were saying, like whatever you start putting it out, people start understanding it, whatever. Now they've got an identity of who you are, but you're already like your progression is already, you put way past that because you created that thing 6 months ago. Talk to me about that. What does that feel like when your identity is lagging behind the progress that you're making, and you have to exist in the world or exist in other people's minds? Coming back to what we were talking about before, just other people's minds with that identity, but you're also like you're way past it because you're already your creative piece within yourself. You know, you're already expressing, you created, you moved on. You know, like that. In fact, that identity lags behind progress. What does that bring up for you?
It's true. Like really and truthfully, it's like as you progress, as you start doing, you start learning more about yourself, and then once you start learning more about yourself, you have to implement those things that you learned from what you've created into yourself. So that's a process. As soon as the creation has already been created, you're already a new person. Exactly. You've expressed it out into the world. You're already a different person. Exactly. So other people's perceptions of you is in the past. And that's the thing. It's like the identity lags behind progress, yes, because once you've done something, you learn a lot more about who you are, and then you start implementing what you've learned into your life. So by then you become a new person, straight up. Exactly. You're not the same person you were before.
Exactly.
But the problem comes when it's like people actually see you in the past, you know, they seen what you created before and have this identity of who you are, and then see you as a past construct of yourself. There's this one guy,
God,
my nigga Ishmael Sanchez. Trust me, he tries to put me in a box every single time. I tell him, bro, I do not have an identity. My father and I are one. Christ is my mind. I am nobody, brother. I am what I am. I am what I will be. You know, so what can I tell you, bro?
There's a Vega panel when he goes, I am nothing.
It's it's nuts, man. Because that's how you deal with it, really and truthfully. You have to realize it's gonna be hard for someone. You have to let go of your identity. You have to realize your identity is just a placeholder.
Yes.
It's just a placeholder for that current piece of art you are delivering to the people. You know what I mean? So let go of your identity. The art will speak for itself. You know what I mean? The art speaks for itself. You don't have to live up to some type of vision of who you think you should be. You just have to create, connect, and contribute. The art speaks for itself. You know, that's an aspect of show don't tell. You know what I mean? That's in the writing books. It's like you don't want to chalk your fucking page full of just exposition. This is who I am. This is the journey I'm going on. I'm a the art will speak for you. People will watch your content and then they will know what you're about just from the content you create. It's the same way your habits are responsible for your identity. Going back to that one point about what do you call it? It was identity and something else. But essentially, yeah, it was the perceptions of others and how to break out of that prison of perception. You have to realize that your habits are reflective of your identity. Your identity isn't shaped by other people's perceptions. It's shaped by how you act on a day-to-day basis. It's shaped by what you do on a day. Every action you take is a step towards a vision or a goal. It doesn't matter what step you're taking, you're going somewhere. You know what I mean? Like I used to say, I think back in one of your other podcasts, you are the captain of your own ship. You know, every action you take changes the trajectory of your sail, changes the trajectory of your destination every single time. So you got to choose wisely what actions you're making. You're going to choose, and also inaction is one of the biggest choices as well. That choice also has a consequence. Inaction also has its consequences. So it's like there's nothing to do, there's everything to do, but either way, whatever choice you make, there will be consequences. Something is gonna happen.
That's beautiful.
But
that's beautiful. Can I go for that?
Yeah, no,
that's beautiful, fam. Like, by the way, every time I speak to you, I have a realization. Like alive, I'm trying to like.
This is coming straight off the dome.
I know it's off the dome, bro. It's the experience, bro. Bro, I'm trying to like run a podcast and I'm just thinking about my life in the mid-podcast. Like, I'm just like focusing somewhere in the trees, just looking at, thinking about that. Your habits, man. Your habits to create your identity, not other people. I'm gonna think about that for a long time, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. All right, so to go, to go. Nah, bro, I understand, bro. I understand. To go after that, then to go after that, one thing I wanted to talk about just to close this out was about the idea of like the idea of good and evil. We've talked about all of these concepts and talked about all of these things that surround it, people's perceptions, all these things. And I think one of the things that really play a part into that is how we perceive the world around us, right? I think the one we were talking about before was mentioned, and I want to basically put two questions together, but I want to see if it works, right? So first off, the idea that what good and evil is, right? Like, do we need evil for good, and how do they interplay with each other? And then bang in the middle of that, what is this idea people have of normality, of like how everyone can act in a normal way? When people have a perception of you, they're already judging that or measuring that perception they have of you of what they think is normal. That's why you get those messages when they're like, oh, you're so abnormal. It's like, bro, like, what is normal? What are you comparing me to? What is thing that's in your head of how I'm supposed to act? You know, like this idea. Yeah, like everyone, and everyone else doesn't even act like everyone else. Everyone else is hiding who they are. So that's like a perception that we have in our minds. So the question I'm asking is, first of all, do you even believe in this idea of normal? And then going off that, looking at the extremes of that, like we were talking before, do we need the opposites of that? Do we need the evil for the good? Do we need the good for the evil?
Yeah, I mean, man, yeah. Unfortunately so. This life we live is all about balance, right? It's all about, it's a balancing act. It's a resource management game, you know. It's good and evil, yin and yang. You have blue and red, left and right blue and red creates purple. Good and evil creates love, to be honest. Like, in my opinion and from my experience, the only truth in this life is love and connection. And the only causes of suffering is neglect and separation.
I love that. You said that before. That was beautiful.
Yeah, so that what I mean, how I want to relate that to the actual.
Felt bad because
yeah, I probably want to sit down as well, you know what I mean? It is what it is, man. She will here first, man. It's a cold weather, man. Yeah, hey, come on, man. That's funny. It's like, I can't even lie. I can't even say what I'm thinking. That's crazy. Anyway.
He was perception of you, brother.
He was perception. No, but this is some wild shit, man. This is some unhinged. Because I like dark humor, man. I'm a dark humor. Anyway.
You're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have good and evil.
Yes.
But those concepts, the concepts are, if you believe in good and evil, you believe in a dualistic, separated mindset, right? Mm-hmm. So that means there's no connection. You have to realize that connection between good and evil. Like, they can't exist without the other, really and truthfully, because you wouldn't know what good is if everything was good. There would be no comparison, right? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't know what evil would be if there was no one good. You know, you don't know what light looks like in a dark room. You don't know what darkness looks like in a room that's full of light. Actually, shadows and shit. But we ain't gonna get into that.
The idea that there is no darkness without light.
Yeah,
all darkness is the absence of light.
Yes, exactly. Is good the absence of evil? Is evil the absence of good? Ooh. Evil.
I think good
evil
comes first.
No, I think evil is the absence of good. I think
the world was created good. Evil is the absence of good. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I think good comes first.
Interesting, but it's that what do you call it? Separation. It's that separation from source. You know, if we take it back to the Christic wisdom, to the biblical times, you know, Old Testament. You know, what did God do? What did Adam do? He ate the apple. What did that cause? A separation with him and God. That means he got got exiled from the goddamn paradise, you know. He separated himself from God himself. And that creates some of the most abhorrent suffering, you know what I mean? Separation is a form of suffering, and so is neglect, of course.
And so that duality it's basically the same duality we have with good and evil. Right?
Yeah, it's just and you have to balance that. You have to realize the balance between good and evil is love and connection. You have to realize they are connected, and then you have to love it anyway. Why? Because they're two sides of the same coin. The same way someone is evil is the same way someone is good. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like, it's one of them ones. Someone gets cancer, like you mentioned. Someone gets cancer. Is that good? No. Is it evil? No, it's not. It just is what it is. And the only way to combat it, if you will, or the only way to handle or to treat it, not treat it as in cure, but I mean, I'll tell you some things, you know. Some people, there's people out there who believe that if you, I ain't gonna get into it, but your mind is the principle of mentalism. All is one, all is the mind. So if you can what's the word, convince your mind to actually believe that you are purely healthy. I think it was an experiment done. There was a woman with a cancer tumor, and then they had 3 doctors saying, yeah, you're fine, you're perfectly healthy, you know, nothing's going on, you're chill. They literally saw the tumor shrink and go away. So it's like what we believe, what we believe internally does affect our external, you know.
There is limits, obviously, right?
There's limit. I don't know if there's any limits, man. It's just the only limits is our mind, you know what I mean? The only limit is what we believe is possible. And I truly believe the only limit is what we believe is possible.
What about the other question about normality? Like
and then in the case of normality,
idea of like you're not normal, because I get this sometimes all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you even mean by that? I don't think you understand what you mean by that.
It's like
you're saying normality as if there's this measure that we all have.
We don't. There's no metric for normality because we don't know what that absolute normal is. Normal is just average, you know. Normal is average. It's common. It's the middle ground between good and evil, if you will. And I guess I say the middle ground for good and evil, but I guess I mean, it is normal to love, really and truthfully. But to say one is not normal would mean that the 2 extremes that they exist on. Where was I going with that one? Say someone is not normal means that they don't exist within the, I guess, the collectively accepted
perception of
what normality is.
Yeah,
but that changes. But that changes over time. Like 4,000 years ago, what is normal then isn't normal now. So who's to say what's normal? Are they abnormal because they lived back in the day? No. It's just time and space.
Another part of the planet today, and what normal is different.
Literally, like what was normal yesterday is not going to be normal today. Like it changes over time, and it's the only normal thing is to be. It's to be, you know. It's to love. That's the only thing. To love and connect. That's the only normal thing. Really and truthfully, it's like.
Yeah, I think the reason I asked that question is just to give people out there like that idea that like when people tell you you're not normal, whatever, that I don't think you should take that too seriously, because they don't understand what they mean, and they're saying it with their own experience, with their own thing that they've been through in their life and what they think normality means. So it's like we can't even like begin to understand that. So it's just like, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to reject that. And I'm going to keep living my life and being original, because to me, this is the only way I can live. This is normal for me. This is normal for me. Exactly. And I think people who are creative, we struggle with that because sometimes we have this thing where we want to be accepted by people. That's why we express, you know, and so you want to be normal, but you're not normal. So you want to also be yourself. So that balance in act is difficult, but I think it's good to, you know, be okay with yourself in that.
Let me go off that once for a second. Trust me, because like in saying that, it's like, why would you want to be normal? Because normal people don't get recognized. You're an artist, right? You want your work to get recognized. You want to express yourself, and you want to be seen, essentially. Not necessarily for the validation, but because you're an artist, you want to contribute your art to make people feel something, to give people value, and for that value to be accepted, it needs to be recognized. So why would you be normal? Normal people fit into society. They fit into the box and become a piece of the grass, you know what I mean? It's like you don't really recognize a single strand of grass standing up. You recognize the rose that's in between the field, you know? So it's like, be the rose, be the daffodil, be the fucking dandelion, be the fucking, no, be the plant. I mean, it's okay, be the grass if you want to, man. Shit, me personally, I see myself as the goddamn weed. You know, I see myself as that gnarled, gangly oak tree which no one's gonna cut down because it doesn't have any value. It ain't got no use. We ain't gonna cut this tree down. Why? Because the firewood wouldn't be good. You know, it's not gonna. But that's not the point. The point is that the value is inside the tree. Yes, because obviously it's taking up all that nutrients. But you see all the other trees around, they're cut down. They turn into trunks because they had their use. You know, because they were normal trees. You know what I mean? Being abnormal is an act of longevity, you know what I mean? It's an act of growth, it's an act of strength, resilience, you know what I mean? So
let's bring this to a close.
Bro,
I got fantastic episode. You've been amazing today. To wrap it up, I want you to reflect. No, bro. I've been listening. Don't worry. You're not been yapping. You've been speaking facts. You've been speaking facts. To wrap it up, I'm gonna reflect back to your question that you asked me. So I remember a couple months ago when I was putting together a Q&A. I sent me a message and I was like, everyone who's been on my podcast gets to ask a question. What question would you like to ask me? And then you asked me this question. It was brilliant. You went, what is your favorite aspect of your character? That was the question you asked me. You asked me what's your favorite aspect of your character, and I answered it on the episode. But now I want to reflect that question back to you as to close this out as the last question of this episode. Everything we spoke about today, everything you've realized about yourself, all of that stuff. What is your favorite aspect of your character?
Yes.